Let's start. Good morning.
Good evening.
Good morning.
Wait. We are live here on
Oh, okay.
on
So I'm over
YouTube.
here. I'm over here looking. Well, good morning. Yes. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon and good evening, because we have people from all over the world, or like we like saying, all over the universe, because we probably have people
Yes.
from other planet as well. So we say, what is for
Hi.
other planets?
What do you mean?
People from other planets. What should we say? Good morning,
Oh,
good
cosmic,
evening,
cosmic, cosmic brothers
cosmic,
and
cosmic
sisters.
brothers and sisters. You know, I love being different.
Yes, I love being different. Yes, of course. I love
So
that.
welcome, and let me just say thank you for coming and just being such loyal, patient people with us, and coming to see us and staying faithful to the channel. We are so grateful.
Yes, so welcome to Dating with Your Soul. My
Yes,
name is Mayari El Sol, and here
and
is
Janet Altagracia.
yes, and here we are as friends and sisters. We're gonna be talking about siblings today. So welcome. And for the ones that are just joining, we wanna say thank you for being here, being so present.
Absolutely.
We are coming here every Friday with a different message, and these messages are for to expand
Mhm.
consciousness, to look at life from a different point of view, and the point of view that we are talking about today or along these programs is about the systemic point of view. And it's got to do with family constellations. So, if you haven't heard about family constellations, it's a method to heal the ancestors' past.
Mhm.
And so, if you feel that you are somehow connected to those unresolved memories of your ancestors, then we are welcoming you here. Hi,
Yes.
Dave. Hi, Sean. We are seeing you
Hi.
on YouTube. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, and we are also seeing some people here in Instagram, and we are also live on Facebook.
All three channels.
All three channels, yes. We hope that this information just has a ripple effect.
Yes,
That's our
absolutely.
intention every week, and that's why we are doing this service. Thank you so much for being present.
Absolutely. So we
Yes,
have, like, we continue all the, like I like saying, juicy topics.
yes. So before we begin, we have some announcements, right? And the first announcement that we want to do is that tomorrow, tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday, we are having a module on relationships. So if you are looking forward to heal relationships with your parents, with your children, with your spouse, with your siblings, with your friends, with your coworkers, your boss, whatever it is that you feel like you need to somehow have more harmony in relationships, well, this weekend is your weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We are inviting you here to join us for this weekend. We are having a module on relationships. And it's Saturday and Sunday from 9 in the morning till 6 in the evening. And we really go very deep into understanding why is it that my relationships don't flow in harmony, and how I can heal them through this experience of family constellations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what we are doing here.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good, very empowering and deep class. So
Yes,
if you
Janet
have an
already took that one.
it really brings the light bulb, and you understand why you do what you do.
Yes, behaviors and ways of
Behavior.
acting, and why do we protect ourselves, and what is it that I'm looking in the other, or why I have expectations on the other that are not fulfilled, and what hasn't been fulfilled here. I'm waiting for others to help me fulfill it, and it's not the part of others to do that for me. So it's taking responsibility on your part.
You select.
How?
I was going to say, you select your teachers
Exactly. Yes.
to do the process, and sometimes it's hard, but it's always good.
Yes. And it's also important to see this point of view, because it gives you consciousness when it comes to relationships. And I would say that peace is based on this way of seeing life
Yes,
consciously.
absolutely.
So you
Hmm.
can begin to be that peace in the world when you know how to relate with others from this consciousness, right? From love, true
Yeah.
love, not just the love that we think it is love.
Right.
You know, there are different kinds of love, and we will be talking about that also during this weekend. So welcome, welcome. All right. So second announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are going to Egypt. So today, no, next week actually will
A
be
week from
our,
Monday.
yes, we will have our 29th program, and then we're going to take in a break of a few weeks because we are going to be traveling.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to Egypt. So we will telling you about our adventures after we come back.
Yeah, you'll see pictures on Facebook and all that good stuff.
Yes, definitely, for sure. Okay, so for the ones following this information of the or why you're here and what we will be talking about today is healing the relationships with your siblings. Janet, so how is the relationship with your siblings? What do you have to tell us about that?
Well, we are disconnected. Yeah, we are
Disconnected.
disconnected. We
Uh-huh.
don't like when we like it's like when we see each other and we talk,
Uh-huh.
but it has to happen like that. Like we see each other and then we talk, but it's disconnected. And it's really interesting because we lived, you know, most of our life together and growing up, but yet somehow we separated in a
And it
sense.
was it was that was the dynamic when you were a child, like when you guys were children.
I think so a little bit because we're 5 years apart. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we always had that gap. And then so by the time I was like, let's say 25 and she was 20, I was almost leaving the house. So I think we never really, I don't know, I think that was part of it, that we really kind of never connected at
Mm-hmm.
that level because of the age gap.
I see. All
So
right.
that's
Ah,
interesting. I
that's
never even thought of
interesting.
it that way.
Yes, it is. See, it is important to see and ask yourself, where is your relationship with your siblings? Do you have any siblings, right? We need to start talking about, do you have any siblings? And it's important to understand, how was that dynamic with them? Who were you closer with out of those siblings? You know,
Mhm.
some siblings are more connected and some siblings are more like struggling. See, so we are going to be talking about the dynamics that happen in the family system between siblings, and see if it is in order. Because sometimes when there is a disorder in the system, then the dynamics of conflict appear.
Mhm.
And we want to talk about this so you can maybe recreate order in those relationships, because it can be, let's say, fixed or reconciled if you get to understand what we are going to be talking about today. Hmm?
Mhm.
Okay, ready?
I am ready.
Are you guys ready?
Are you ready? But first, we have to tell them about the book.
Yes, definitely. So, for the ones that don't know what we're doing, we are following information from this book that I wrote last year. It's called Alchemy for the Soul. And if you haven't purchased the book,
Buy the book. Buy the book. Okay. It's a book. It's a workbook. It's an evolutionary book. It's a transformative book. Buy the book.
it's a therapist as well.
Yes,
There are
absolutely.
22 systemic exercises here that you can follow to create inner order
Yes. Oh,
with
I love
within
that.
yourself and with your ancestors
Hmm.
and with your family system, of course,
Yes.
parents and siblings and grandparents and all of it, right? So we are on chapter 2, and we are working on systemic order. When the members of the family system are in disorder, that switch of roles affects the whole system. And so we must recreate the order and honor each position. Otherwise, the conflict continues to happen in the next generation. And so we are going to be talking why those conflicts appear between siblings in a family system. Hmm?
Hmm.
So let's begin by saying this. there is something called triangulations, and we are going to be talking about the internal dynamics that happen within a family system. Because as it happens within the system, it will also happen eventually outside of the system. So maybe you have conflicts with coworkers, and you might not understand, but why do I have this conflict with this person at work? And that is a projection of something that happened in your own place, in your own family system during your childhood. And somehow it wasn't resolved. So it is projected outside in your life as an adult. And that's how it happens. All the conflicts that we experience outside of our family system with others is not the others. It's actually a conflict that happened in my family system that I haven't been able to recognize or to be aware of, or that my family system is not aware of. And they just thought that that was life or that that was normal, but it's not. So that's why we are here. We want you to understand that there are disorders that are not seen, they are unconscious, because the system, the family system, also has an unconsciousness. And if we don't get to dig deep and see where that unconsciousness and the dynamics that are created because of that unconsciousness, then we will keep continue recreating experiences that are in disorder. So, for example, just give an example here. Let's say you have a problem with a coworker in wherever you work, and you haven't been able to somehow manage to create harmony.
Mhm.
And so, what it is that you are feeling with this person? Just ask yourself that. What am I feeling with this person at work that makes me feel what? It triggers you, right? Somehow it triggers you. It makes
Mhm.
you feel maybe anger, resentment. I don't understand. I want to control the other. See, all of those are dynamics that you must have felt or experienced before, but you don't remember them. And maybe that happened or those happened in your life when you were a child with your siblings. So let's say that two people at work have this sort of conflict, and maybe you have a boss, and maybe you want to do something to, escalate, and maybe the other person is also waiting to escalate. So there is a competition. So maybe I'm asking you at this moment, um, were there like competition with any of your siblings?
Mhm.
And how, like, let's say, was that um, being maybe approved more of your other sibling than you? Because that creates certain feelings in this child who is not being seen by the father or by the mother. Because all siblings are looking to be seen by mom and dad. I want to be the best. I want mom to approve me, to see how good I am. And then all of these conflicts and struggling happened because they want to attention. I want
Mhm.
your attention, mom. I want your attention, dad. And if that doesn't happen, but my sibling, my other brother or my other sister is taking all of that attention, then I don't like that. Or I don't like my brother, or I don't like my sister because it's having all the attention and they are not giving me enough attention.
Mhm.
And that creates a conflict between these two siblings. That the parents say, no, I love them all the same. But maybe the parents don't notice that maybe they have preferences somehow. See,
Mhm.
they say no, but somehow they do sometimes, right? There is a sort of a rejection between certain children. Some of them say, oh, my mom didn't, I felt like I was rejected by my mother. But no, I see that she was very connected to my sister or to
Mhm.
my son or to I'm sorry, to my brother.
Mhm.
And so that disconnection is already creating a conflict also between the siblings because
Mhm.
this child might feel resentment towards mom and towards those siblings that are being seen but not that one. See? No, this one. So all of these is our dynamics that happen within the system that sometimes maybe we haven't reviewed our own system to see how that relationship or how was that sort of dynamics in my family system.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
so
It
maybe
is.
you had that competition. You were like very competitive with your other brother, let's say, maybe two brothers, and they maybe one of them want to be first because I want to be seen by my dad or by my mom. Then the other one maybe is not as good as the parents expect. Then maybe the second one is feeling somehow relegated or not seen, and that is affecting the emotional health of that child,
And you see
right?
that a lot especially in siblings, where one is a straight A
Mhm.
student, and the
Yes.
other one is totally a rebel, and then the other one that is totally a rebel is getting so much attention because he's always creating chaos or
Uh-huh.
something, and then the straight A student is like, but look at me doing this, and you're not even noticing me. You see that a lot too. So
Yes, yes, yes. Let's talk about this case. This
yeah.
case, I love it that you brought that because there are cases like this because I've seen them in constellations sessions, and it is like I had a brother who was in drugs. He
Mhm.
was always in troubles. He was always like the problem in home, and my parents were all the time after him. Or he was sick, so I had to be all the time taking him to the hospital and taking care of him. And they actually had the other siblings taking care of that specific brother or sister because she needs everybody's attention. So somehow one child is taking all that attention, but what happens with the other ones that are behaving good? I'm having good grades. I'm doing. Everybody says that I'm the best at this dance or this play, but my parents cannot come because my sister is sick or my brother is sick, and they just can't. It's like that sort of lack of attention. Sometimes the parents, because they are trying to solve one child, they forget about the others.
Mhm.
And so these other children, the ones that, try to call the attention being the best ones, somehow that creates resentment. It's a sort of resentment and disconnection to that one, that sibling that was always sick or was the problem, was that trouble sibling that every got all the attention but me.
Mhm.
See? Or there is one that is so good that the parents only see that one, but the other ones are not the same. Maybe because the parents are more connected to the information this child is somehow developing, that is fulfilling their expectations, but not the others. Let's say one is into math and maybe the other one is an artist. And so the parents are expecting the artist to be also someone like in like medicine or a doctor or
Right.
something, and this child has a different sort of energy. So all of these little details create chaos
Mhm.
and dynamics, mm, that feelings, emotions that we can say, yeah, my mother accepted me like that, or my father, but within there is an emotion that I haven't been able to solve because in reality, within myself, I didn't feel accepted
Right.
or
Right.
loved,
Yes.
or that I got attention, the attention that I needed. Make sense?
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm?
Absolutely.
Yes, so we are going to be talking today about healing the relationships between siblings. Yes, and we must understand here that sometimes the family system, went through certain situations, and that's why the dynamics ended up being like that.
Mhm.
Let's give another example here. Let's say that this family has a mother, a father, and two children. Let's say maybe a girl and a boy.
Mhm.
And let's say that the mother maybe doesn't like the father because maybe the father is absent, or or infidelity, because of infidelity, or because doesn't provide, or many reasons. Let's say this mother rejects the father because of all of this, right? And let's say that the children are looking at the mother and looking at the father and saying, my father is not a good father because my mom is saying that my father is not a good father. So these children somehow alienate with the mother, and that's called a triangulation. It is a triangulation within the system where two parts, let's say, align and exclude the other one. They reject the other one, and it's called a triangulation. It can also happen that, let's say, the mother aligns with the boy. That's when we hear that case of the, how was that, the child's, the mama's boy,
Mama's boy,
the
yeah.
mama's boy,
Mama's
right?
boy, yeah.
Where the mom says, my child is the most beautiful thing, my king, the king of the house, and is like excluding the father, right? And because the father this or that, and that is creating a dynamic that eventually is going to affect this child, right? Eventually this child is going to have issues dating, for example.
I'm like big ones.
Yeah, big ones. It's big ones. Yes, big ones. Or it also can happen the opposite way. Maybe the daughter aligns with the father or alienates with the father, and like, they exclude
The mom.
the mom. And that's a common case. These two had to do a lot with the complexes of Oedipus.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's Oedipus.
Oedipus, yeah.
Oedipus.
And also Electra. You know,
Uh-huh.
is those two complexes that children go through, and they are not, let's say, they don't transcend organically for the development of the child. So it will be affecting eventually the relationships of the children, because let's say they marry energetically with their parents.
And what
See?
about Maya, when mixed family that now all the children are together? The man has two or three kids, the woman has two or three kids, and they all become one big happy family, all six kids, and they are forced into sibling. What about that?
That's a very good question, Janet. So it would be yours, mine, and all of us,
And ours.
and ours.
They
Yeah.
have a movie like that, yours, mine, and ours, and I think it was 12 kids all
Oh
together.
my God.
How would that be in terms of siblings?
Yes, let's talk about that one, for example. In a case like this, we must create inclusion. So, for example, if let's say that, let's say I had an ex-husband, and I'm bringing to this new marriage, let's say, two children, and maybe my new husband has maybe one child, and maybe we decide to have a third child. I
There we
mean,
go.
not third, yeah, or
Oh,
maybe
the fourth
fourth
child,
child, let's say.
together.
Yes. So the order in this system will be like this: my ex-husband will be first, my new husband will be second. And then in the case of my husband, his ex-wife will be first, and then I'll be the second one, because I came after.
And we struggle with that.
And yes, I know many women struggle with that because they want to be the first, but they are not. Because when they want to be the first, they are excluding the first one.
Yeah.
And when they are excluding the first one, somehow we are not being thankful that maybe because that relationship didn't work, but they got to learn something, or my partner got to learn something, that at this moment in my new relationship, that person grew up more and is more mature to be now with me.
Right. Yes.
See, they had more struggle for this second opportunity to be more healthy. See, and that's why I say thank you.
Yes.
And also honoring this, but honoring also those children they had together. See, so for example, let's say if I had an ex-husband and my husband had another child, right? I would say, these are my two children. This is my first husband and my two children. And then I see your first wife and I see that child.
Mhm.
See, and then this is the last one. And it has an order of precedence that we are honoring in order for the whole system to integrate all the parts and feel like we are flowing because we are all included, including the ex-wives or ex-husbands. And all the children are anyways children. Of course, when we are talking here about the children of my husband that are in mine,
Mhm.
I'm not to be the mother of these children. Those children already have a mother.
And that's very important to realize.
Yes,
You
sometimes
know,
mother expect the new husband to be the father, for example, of the children, and those children already have
a
a
father.
father. So
Mhm.
that's honoring. No matter if he didn't pay, no matter if he doesn't is absent, no matter if he was never there, no matter
What?
that,
I'm like, no matter what.
no matter what, those children have a father.
And that needs to be recognized
And that needs to be recognized and honored.
and honored.
Yes, that's part of the work that we do in systemic work, creating order. Makes sense? Yes? All
Mhm.
right. So in this case, for example, then when the new, let's say that I have has a new husband that has a child, I'm not like the responsibility of that child is not mine. Yes, if that person is at home, of course I include this child and I
Mhm.
give them as the same as I do give to my children, right?
Mhm.
Because I say yes to the whole package.
Right.
But I'm not to become the mother. This child, otherwise, is going to be a conflict.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of this. Oh, but these children of my husband, my new husband, he brought these children and we don't get along. But do you want to be the mother of these children? Do you want them to obey you? And then they actually say, you are not my mother.
Yeah. Oh.
And so the conflict begins and the whole relationship can fall apart because of this sort of dynamics. So all we need to do is to include. See, I can tell that child, I'm not your mother, and I respect and I honor your mother because I know your father and her had you.
Right. Yes.
And maybe you can approach this child in a different way. And that will actually, when this child sees, oh, but she sees that I she's given a place to my mother, that is honoring my mother, then this child kind of like doesn't need to be aggressive because the child wants the mother, to be seen too. Otherwise, it doesn't need to get into this aggressiveness, right? Because this child is being seen and his or her mother.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's very important that we do recognize the mom and give her the place and the honor
Mhm.
because it does affect the child even if they don't say anything.
Yes.
So it's like I always say, for us that are in mixed marriages, it's important to be very mindful of that.
Yes, definitely. So Sean, let's see some of the comments here before we continue. Sean is saying big age gap. I'm the youngest. We got closure when dad passed.
Mm.
Closer when mom passed.
So the siblings, okay.
So let's talk about this, for example. Mm, let's talk about the siblings and
Mhm.
see if maybe this can give you some light, Sean. For example, let's say that the parents need to go to work and maybe they see that the number three or the number one, which are the more with the young energy,
Mhm.
more masculine energy, more, because number one is alpha, right? It's a masculine energy. Number two is more feminine. Number three is masculine energy again. So usually the parents see the children and say, oh, this one is more responsible, or this one is the oldest one. So
Mhm.
I'm going to ask the first one or the third one, which is the most responsible, to take care of the others. right? And so
Mhm.
the parents need to leave, and they put the responsibility to take care of the other siblings to that one. So this child cannot be a child anymore. Needs to become big, like mom or dad, in order to take care of those siblings and for the siblings to be obedient
Mhm.
to him or her. And this can happen to men or women. It doesn't really matter. We're talking about here that it could be also women, because I've seen women that come to Constellation and say, well, I was the oldest one, and my parents weren't there emotionally or financially for us. So I started to work since I was very young. And so I
Mhm.
was providing for my mom and for my siblings. See?
Mhm.
And this is a very common case.
Very common, yes.
And so she became the mom, she became the father, she became the mother. So affection, I have to take care of my
Mm-hmm.
siblings and love them and be there for them, give them attention. At the same time, I need to provide them. So she became mom and dad for those children.
And what about us being from different countries?
Uh-huh.
When parents come and leave the sibling in another country and the older sibling has to take care of the other siblings.
That's the case. For example, yes, or they leave and say you're the oldest one or you're the most responsible one, then you should take care of your children. And the child would do anything for the parents.
Yeah,
And they
that's true.
say yes unconsciously. They accept a contract, an invisible contract that
Wow,
says,
yeah.
yes, I will be the mom of my siblings or I will be the dad of my siblings. You can go. And so that child right away grows like an adult. And so what conflict can happen between siblings when this one was given the responsibility of the others? Two things can happen there. Number one, maybe there is a
Clashing of the heads. Yeah.
yes. Why? Because the first one and the third one have masculine energy. So usually the first one and the third one have this sort of but you're not my mother and you're not my father and you cannot tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And the first one, the one that is in charge, is saying, but my mom and my dad gave me that role, or they
Right. They
gave
give
me
the
the
responsibility.
responsibility, so
Yes.
you must obey me.
Right.
And the whole struggling happens. Well, I'm not gonna do what you're saying, and all of these conflicts are created because of the parents' unconsciousness of just doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so that's one of the examples. What can happen with these other siblings that maybe too young or very vulnerable or very emotional or need more affection? They will turn towards that sibling that the parents gave responsibility to, and they become more dependent. They become dependent because that one, if mom and dad cannot be there for me, at least my oldest sibling is going to be there for me. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't see any more mom and dad. Mom and dad are not visible because now I have a sibling who is really giving me what I need emotionally or what I really need, food or whatever.
Being taken care of. Yep.
So these children get disconnected from mom and dad and become dependent of that first sibling who is taking care of him or her. And that is the conflict right there because that's teaching children to be dependent on others.
Right. Yes.
And then you see that sort of relationship with friendships. You know, this when you see two girls and there's one that, oh, but let me call you friend 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I need someone to listen to me. I need someone to help me. Oh, come with me. I cannot do it by myself. Do you have a friend like that? I had a friend like that once.
I think we all do. Yeah.
So at certain point you turn around and say, but I'm not your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm not just older sister who always were there for you. You know, I'm your friend. I cannot be doing that. See? So can you see how those conflicts are seen later in your life as adults. All of these things that happen are not a coincidence. It is synchronicity, and it is projecting what happened in your life when you were a child with your own siblings. So you have those two. Which one is yours? Did you struggle and compete with your siblings, or were struggling because you know my mom and you cannot tell me what to do? And so they had their hair pulling their hair and this and that. And I'm first, I'm first, I'm first. I want my mom's attention. I want my dad's attention. Or, oh, poor you. But I'm going to help you. So that one that is helping, oh, yeah, I need you to help me. I need you to help me.
Who was the peacemaker? The one that's always trying to keep, these two from clashing.
Yes.
It's always a peacemaker.
There's always a peacemaker, exactly. So all of these dynamics somehow are the ones affecting your life today, your relationships, especially with friends and co-workers. See?
Or thinking, I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah,
I can see it.
Can you see it?
Especially
now?
with the co-workers, I'm seeing it. Like my sibling, she's great. She's great. Very strong personality. And I find myself sometimes attracting co-workers that have very strong personalities.
There you go.
When you said that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yes, and maybe you don't like that, or maybe you do. Said you, oh,
I don't like that.
I don't like that. So you're attracting what you must see.
I was the peacemaker.
But also, what you didn't like about your sibling is what you get to see in the coworker.
Yep.
Yes. And let's say that those two sisters wanted to be seen by mom. Maybe you guys want to be seen by the boss.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and the boss is mom or is dad.
So true.
Yes.
We learn every day.
Yes, exactly. So it is a projection. The outside world and your today's reality is a projection of what happened during your childhood with your siblings.
I like that the outside world and today's reality is a projection of what happened with your siblings.
Yes, yes.
Like that.
Yes. So let's see here what David is saying. How do you honor the folks in your family that you may have struggled with? Just give them love that we all want. That's a very general question. It's not specific because folks, we have so many members in the family system, and we are talking about siblings today, but specifically. But we cannot say how do I on honoring is important. Yes, honoring is important, just for you to say that's your place in the system and I honor you for that. That's beautiful. Yes, that's giving love. But yeah, we would have to have more details, David. We would have to have a little bit of more of information. And our topic today is siblings. So let's see what else. I meant for siblings. Yeah, for siblings, yes. Yes. So when we talk about siblings, let's say that my father had another child before the marriage with my mother, and I was the second one. So I, as the second child of my father, should honor my first sibling, even though it was with another mother. So we can actually bring like how you say that, hologram? No, like when you bring a person in front of you that is not it's just a hologram.
Yeah, it is hologram.
Yeah, it's a hologram.
A hologram.
Just you can bring a hologram of that sibling, even though you don't see this person or you don't talk to them, and you can just energetically see you came first.
Yes, and acknowledge that.
And I came second.
Yes.
You're my oldest sibling, and I'm the youngest one, and I honored you. We are equals, but you came first. And I'm respecting that order. And also, if you have the opportunity to, if that was the case, the one we are talking about now, also honoring the mother of this child. You were the first wife of my father, and my mom is the second one. Because sometimes women, when they feel like the other one ruined my marriage or whatever, right? They have that issue of reconciling. But you, as a descendant, and if you get to see this and recreate order, that's enough for the whole system to establish energetically that order.
Mhm.
Isn't that amazing what we can do with simple exercises like this?
Yes, because it's the
Yes.
wordings are so powerful.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's go to the book and see what it says, right? We are on page number 138, and let's talk about siblings. And for the ones that just came, we are reading from Alchemy for the Soul, the book that I wrote last year, and Janet is
Buy
going
the
to say
book,
it.
buy the book.
By the book, by the book. Okay, so we are on page number 138, and it says like this. Let's see a case of a disorder between siblings. Oh, yes, and that's my case. Let me ask you, how was your relationship with your siblings? When one of the siblings wants to take on the role of the mother or father, it can create rejection or dependency with the other siblings. Let me share this case about my family. My maternal grandparents had 7 children. 5 are alive, 3 daughters, and 2 sons. The daughters are the oldest ones. All siblings have specific traits depending on their birth order. And we're going to talk about these traits because it's important to also understand this about your siblings. I learned this from one of my teachers, Tarso Firace, founder of the institute where I got my certification on family constellations and whom I deeply admire. He explains that there are 3 traits: the alpha, the beta, and the gamma according to the birth order. So just check on your system and see who were you, the first one, the second one, or the third one. Oh,
Yeah.
and before we continue, since we're talking about inclusion and systemic order, if maybe your mother had an abortion or lost the baby, that baby or miscarriage, that baby counts.
That baby counts, yes.
Meaning that if before you a baby was lost, maybe your mother lost that child, a miscarriage, you should count that child. So let's say your mother, the first child of your mother was a miscarriage. So that is your first sibling. And maybe you were born after that, then you're the second sibling. So you should say, that's my first one, you were the first one, and I'm the second. See, we always must count all siblings from other marriages, from the ones in my family, from the one for the ones after maybe my father married another woman after me or had another one that was a parallel family, you know, because this is another case too.
Yeah, you see that.
See?
You see
Yeah,
that too.
often. So we also are going to be talking about the energy of the siblings. So the first one, the first sibling is the alpha, who is very intelligent and strong, and it is a natural leader. So the alpha, the sibling, the alpha sibling, is that leader that has a lot of ideas and a lot of strength and is very masculine energy, is very alpha, very intelligent. And they want, of course, to lead the others because it's the first one. I want you to follow me. And what this child actually is looking is to be recognized.
Something as simple as that, but we don't see it.
Yes.
But it's, yeah. To be
But maybe
recognized,
the third child, who is also very masculine, looks at the first one and say, I'm not going to recognize you.
yeah, you have a story like that, don't
Yes,
you, Maya?
yes. And so the first one is like, but that's my place. I came first. See, it's as simple as this. So let's see. The second sibling is the beta, who is very creative and artistic and is the most emotional. She or he is very la la land. Oh, it's so beautiful. The peacemaker.
Yes.
Oh, let's all love each other. It's just oh, don't worry about it. There's no, just let's relax and have fun. You know, it's just like another type of energy, very feminine, very emotional, very sensitive, right? Now, the third sibling is the gamma, and the gamma is the most organized. Oh, so the second sibling wants to be loved. All I want is love, you
Yeah.
know. The
Like this.
first the first one,
All I want is love. Yep.
yeah, the first one needs to be recognized. The second one wants to be only loved.
Yeah.
Yes,
It fits her
yes.
or him.
Uh-huh. And the third one, the gamma, who is very organized, structured, and the most driven, is very intelligent in a sense of, okay, the first one has got great ideas but don't accomplish. And the second one is very creative but too
La la land.
la la land. So I'm taking your energy and your energy, and they build up. So usually the third sibling is the one that has more money,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very, oh, I'm going to do. Just okay, you don't do, I'm gonna do it. And they get to be more successful. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
So the third one has the tendency to kind of judge the other two because they don't do. I did. And
Mm-hmm.
so tends to have that role of, I want to be the one leading because I know the way you didn't. So there is disrespectful. There is a lack of order here when the third one wants to do this. Hmm?
Yes.
So that is the case in my family, and I'm going to tell you what happened. Let me see, because I have the story. In my family's case, there are three daughters, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, who couldn't get along with each other. They couldn't. They had arguments and disagreements over just anything. Every time we had meetings, oh my God, it was like all the whole family, we were like looking at it. Oh my God, they are going about to begin, and they start like this sort of, it was just like everybody feels uncomfortable
Yeah.
because of the way they were talking to each other, and what each one of them was kind of like demanding from the other one. It's just awful. So they had these arguments, and the gamma, so means the third one, couldn't accept the other two because of her own perspective about how they made decisions. See, so
Mm-hmm.
she's always complaining, you're silly, you're stupid. How did you do it like that? The second one, oh, you're too in the air. You need to put your feet on the
On the ground,
ground. Yeah,
yeah.
things like that. She was always kind of judging the other two. So when the family was gathered and the arguments appeared between the alpha, which is the first one, and the gamma, which is the third one, it created discomfort for all other members present. Finally, the gamma, which is my aunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mom is the second one, by the way. My mom is the second one, the la 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 artistic, creative, right? But the first one is my aunt, who is, let's say, my adoptive, because we actually did this in paperwork. She is the first. She's the third one, and then I have my other aunt, which is the first one. So, the gamma, the third one, decided to do a constellation. She one day said, "Well, okay, I want to constellate that to see if I can, somehow change my relationship with them." Although it was difficult for her to recognize and accept the order of precedence and her position, she did. So that happened actually here in this space. They came to visit from Colombia because I was born in Colombia, and they were visiting. And my first aunt, she doesn't like any of these things. She doesn't believe. She's like, I don't want to know what that is. But the third one, she's very smart, and she always wants to know, and so she was the one who decided to constellate her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to my aunt's, the first one, room, and say, do you want to come and help us a little bit? So in constellations, we bring people to represent the other members of the family system, the ones that are going to be constellated or reconciled, right? So I told her, just stand there. You don't have to do anything. Just stand there. So I asked the third one to tell the first one, I want to, and then I put her in front of her and said, now you're going to tell her, I see you. I see you. I recognize you. And then she looked at me and said, that's difficult to say. That's what she said. Oh, but I don't like saying, I don't want to say that. I said, then you're not constellating. And she said, and then she looked at me and she looked at her, and then she says, I recognize you. And then the first one, not even knowing what we were doing, started to cry.
Yeah.
because it's the first time this first sibling hears from the third one saying, I recognize
She put in her rightful place.
you. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it changed the whole family dynamic. And then she said, you are the first one, you came first, and you open the path for us, the ones coming after. And I honored you. And then she bent like this, and then I made the first one do this, not even knowing that she was doing the constellation. And it was so healing for both of them.
Yeah.
See, simple experiences like this is like recreating a scene that hasn't been done within the family system that can bring lots of peace and reconciliation between the members of the family system. So when I spoke to the third one a little bit more about her childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, well, what happened was that when I was a child, I was the most responsible of all my five siblings. And my mom and my dad used to put me in charge of them. And I was the one who had to manage the money and give them money and the food and make sure that everybody was fine. And they actually would give him the account books too
Oh,
because she was good
wow.
at numbers. Actually, she's an accountant. You
They
know,
started her young.
they started her young, and she took that responsibility that she didn't need to.
She took it very
She
seriously.
took it very seriously, and they are
Too much.
too
Far
much
too
now.
much.
They are in their 50s and 60s. She still calls them to see how they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very controlling. It's hard for her not to be a controller because of that. She needed to make sure, out of love, that loyalty, invisible loyalty to mom and dad, to say, yes, I will take care of them. And she's now aware of them, and she's aware of that, and she tries not to. And now she's working not to. She's working on letting them on their own
Right.
and just taking care of her own life.
Yeah.
It's hard for her. So it is important to honor the order of precedence, even between siblings. The first child is the one who opens the way for those who come after, and is also the one who carries the most of what hasn't been resolved in the family tree. And then I wrote, I don't know how I decided to come first. Because, yes, the first child is the one that carries the most out of those unresolved memories of the system
Oh,
on
yeah.
his or her shoulders.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that simply fact is enough for the other ones to say, I recognize you. I honor you. It's just bowing to them and say, thank you, brother. Thank you, sister. You you are opening and facilitating the path for us to have it easier. Hmm?
Very nice. Yeah.
So when the order between siblings hasn't been resolved, it is reflected outside of the system in our lives. We attract different situations to show us our internal conflicts. Remember that by the law of vibration, you attract what you need to see and resolve in your inner world. When you align inside, it will show outside differently. Everything is aligned within the energy world. So everything that is happening is in a, let's say, an energetic level, and it will manifest outside, because if it's, let's say, healthy, you will be attracting healthy experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's unconscious and unresolved, that's what you will be attracting. Remember that conflicts between friends or co-workers could be connected to non-resolved conflicts between siblings. So if you are in a community or in a group, just check that. Put an eye on that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let's see, what's my behavior here? Who do I have conflicts with? Who I'm not agree with? Who, oh, when that person comes in the group, it's like, oh, and I accept you, yes, but I don't know if I really accept you, you know?
Right.
So it could be something related to your own siblings. The stories of rivalry, competitions, power conflicts, and struggling could be lacking some systemic order. If we could solve government conflicts by creating a systemic order, perhaps we will be able to create more harmonious ways to communicate and agree. To create systemic order and harmonize relationships within any system, it is necessary to respect and honor the order of precedence. Whoever came first to the group, family, system, or company must be honored as first. As in the example I gave at the beginning, when one person cut off another in line, conflict is created. It is like an energetic complaint, but I was here first. So it is essential to keep the order of precedence by recognizing who came first and who came after with sincerity. It is important for everyone to be acknowledged in their place. When we talk about companies, for example, and this is something very important that I want you to keep in mind. Sometimes, let's say in the industry world or in the business world, right? Someone comes new and they want to take the place of other one that maybe has been working a lot for it to escalate into that position and is taken by other. So the one that is expecting that somehow feels like, oh, they didn't see me, they didn't recognize me, they didn't recognize the work that I have been doing. So that creates conflict between the new one that is coming that doesn't know about the one that was expecting that position and the one that was there. So see all of these little details. If you are the owner of a business and you have these positions, you should honor that. Maybe come and tell the person, I know you are waiting for that position. Maybe you need more experience. That's why this person is coming into it. But you eventually can have this position if you work more or have more experience on it. See, it's just acknowledging the other. That's very important. Acknowledging is honoring.
That's the key word.
That's the key word.
Acknowledging.
Exactly. So if you, let's say, have conflicts, and as David was saying, but how do I honor these folks in my family, the siblings? So I'm gonna just give here a little exercise for whoever listens to this video and eventually wants to create that order with the siblings. So whoever you feel that is in disorder, just bring that person and position that person in that order of precedence. And you are going to use simple words like this. You are going to energetically position that person and say, I see you, I recognize you, I honor you. It's all you have to say. You came first.
Oh, wow.
And I came after. And I acknowledge your presence and your place in the world or in this system. You have also a place in my heart.
And you see how you feel that? Because you felt it, you feel it.
Yes.
So it's very healing. I'm sure you'll experience that.
I hope so too. And that's all we wanted to share today.
So remember, honor your siblings in the order that they belong.
Yes. So we hope this information somehow can serve you. And if you haven't been able to see maybe this possibility, maybe you can recreate order energetically.
Thank you for the hearts.
Yes, thank you for the hearts. We so love the hearts in
Since
Instagram.
You're sending hearts, please share and like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yes, please, please, please. If you like this, please give us a like or a heart and share this information. Sometimes, or maybe, because that was my case, I didn't know about the systemic order. So I never even thought about it. It's like, I don't even know what that is. Doesn't make sense for me. But as I was recreating that order within my own self consciously, I started to see changes in my own family without me even telling them what I was doing. So
Mhm.
you actually can be that healer that no one needs to know about, but is creating the order in the system.
Yeah, in my case, it was I had a stepsister or a bonus sister, as
Mm-hmm.
they call them
Mm-hmm.
now. She was older, but
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest, so that was the conflict. And I once, if unconsciously, I gave her her place because she was the oldest.
Yes.
You know, so
Mhm.
and that brought a lot of healing. So,
Look
yeah.
at that. So now maybe you feel more connected than when you spoke at the beginning about
Right,
your.
yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I saw. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
wow, I did do that.
Yes. So that
So,
creates reconnection because
mhm,
all we need is to be seen and recognized and respected
yes,
and
and
belonging
honor.
and honor and belonging. We all want to belong. So I create rejection if I notice that no one is seeing me or recognizing me or not making me part of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's when all those triggers, emotions come up because I feel abandoned or betrayed or rejected, excluded. What can come to you when you didn't feel like you were given your right place?
Everybody wants their rightful place.
Yes, definitely. So we're gonna
So,
leave it here for tonight. It's 7:01, so just in time.
thank you so much for coming.
Yes. Yes,
And,
thank you so much. We appreciate you and we acknowledge you too. And
and we honor you
we
too.
honor you too. We see you, even though we don't see you with our eyes.
We see you.
We know we acknowledge your presence here.
Yes,
So and
absolutely.
that's what is important. So we are sending you tons of love
Love. Yes.
and blessings, and we hope to see you next week.
Next week, same time,
Same time.
same channel.
Yes.
But remember to share and to
Yes,
like and buy the book.
and to buy alchemy for the soul.
Buy the book.
It's time to create alchemy,
Yes.
and you can be that alchemist of the soul for yourself
Yahoo,
and
amen,
for your
all that good stuff.
system. David, we see you tomorrow.
Hasta
Bye.
mañana.
Hasta mañana. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.